You can go to Thana, temple open, Gyana temple over there. And 20th, you will be having the big questions ready by 20th October.
Big questions, which one?
10 big questions, open book questions.
Open book questions will come, right? No, that we have to submit.
You have to submit by 20th October, last by last. Huh? 6th, you will have the short exam. Okay?
So that will come from here. No?
Yes, yes, everything will be there from here only. Nothing will go. Who else is coming? Everybody?
5 people had.
Mandar is not coming?
Mandar is not well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
5 people had come.
And what about other two Matajis, three Matajis?
Rajkumari Mataji, train ka mega block है इसमें.
I think Pooja will only come. Pooja comes a little late.
Aryan आ गए. At least you can record this and you can send them. Huh?
But check कर लेता हूँ स्टैंड रेडी नहीं है.
2 minutes kirtan. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री रविदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से गौ जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की, मथुरा धाम की, द्वारिका धाम की, द्वारिकाधीश की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की, सुदर्शन महाराज की, नवदीप महाबुल धाम की, गौरांगिता महाप्रभु की, धर्म नाम संकीर्तन की, और ग्लोरीज टू असेंबली, और ग्लोरीज टू असेंबली, और ग्लोरीज टू भक्ति शास्त्री प्रोग्राम की। So we have completed our session from 7th chapter to 12th chapter. On 6th of October we are having exam for short exam. 12th is temple opening. So we request all of you to go to Thana for Jagannath temple opening program over there. And 20th you have to submit the 10 questions, open book with 10 questions. You can sit over here, complete in your house and submit it over here. And then next month is coming Kartik after that. So Kartik holidays will be there, 2 weeks. So we have to see how the things go on. And I'll be starting Hindi class from next week also. So this class will start at 3:30. If you want at 3:30, or we can start at 11:30. Which is better?
3:30.
3:30? Okay. 3:30 we can start to 5:30, 2 hours. I'll be taking from 1 o'clock to 3:30 over there. Hindi session. 7th chapter to 12th chapter I'm starting in Hindi over there. Okay, so we'll start the 13th chapter. Please take out. Start the AC also. AC start. When start the AC. Please remove chapter number.
Only these, this is come from the Supersoul, questions. Analogy.
Yes, everything will be. You have to copy paste from here. Everything.
So there are analogies also.
Yes, yes.
To
If possible, you also give this exam.
Yes, sir.
So now we are starting with the unit number 3, chapter 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 6 chapters are there. And first chapter is Kshetra, Kshetragya, Vibhaga Yoga. Right? So there are 35 slokas in chapter number 13 and it are divided into 5 parts. Kshetra, Kshetragya, Gyana, the process of knowledge, page number 58. Please remove, take out the page number 58.
Correct.
Yeah. So we are dealing with page number 58, 68, 72, and 77. 77. These are the pages which we will be dealing with. So as usual, we'll start with page number 77. We'll start with page number 77. Remove, take out page number 77. Okay? Explain the connection between Bhagwad Gita chapter 12 and 13. It is for our understanding. What is the connection between the chapter number 12 and 13? Then the second question is present a summary of Bhagwad Gita chapter number 13, identifying the main philosophical question. So that will be on page number 58 as it is. Then explain the entanglement of the living entity in the modes of the nature with reference to the Sanskrit phrase and analogy from 20 to 23. But the most important part of this chapter is on page number 68. 20 items of knowledge. Page 68. Very important in this chapter. 20 items of knowledge. ज्ञान किसे कहते हैं? What knowledge means. Okay? So can you read Mataji from page number 58, chapter 13?
58.
Yeah, page number 58. Explain the connection between Bhagavad Gita chapter number 12 and 13.
In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna discussed how Karma Yoga action on the platform of knowledge leads to Bhakti. In the second 6 chapters, Krishna spoke directly of himself and the glories of devotional service. In the third 6 chapters, Krishna discusses how Gyana leads to Bhakti. Starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge and devotional service are explained.
This is the connection between the chapter number 12 and 13. The answer for that. Please read again, Mataji. Somebody else can read this same paragraph. the connection between 12th chapter and 13th chapter.
In the first 6 chapters of Bhagwad Gita, Krishna discusses how Karma Yoga, action on the platform of knowledge, leads to bhakti. In the second 6 chapters, Krishna spoke directly of himself and the glories of devotional service. In the third 6 chapters, Krishna discusses how Gyana leads to bhakti. Starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge and devotional service are explained.
Okay. So now we will present the summary of Bhagwad Gita chapter 13. Identify the main philosophical concepts and sections of verses and how they are connected. This is for our understanding. Okay? So these are the 5 sections in which the entire chapter is divided. Page number 58. Please read, Mataji.
Kshetra and
Kshetragya.
Kshetra and Kshetragya. In chapter 12, verse 7, Krishna has promised to redeem his devotees. To that end, he will now declare the knowledge needed to elevate his devotees from the material world. Arjuna asked Krishna to explain 6 topics: Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Gyana and Gyana.
Gneya.
Krishna explains knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
Read it ahead. All this.
Process of knowledge, 8 to 12. Having described knowledge of the field and knower of the field, Krishna now explains the process of knowledge, beginning with humility and culminating in realization of the absolute truth. The object of knowledge. In verses 13 to 19, the object of knowledge, Gyana.
Please, Prabhuji, you read.
The object of knowledge in verses 13 to 19. The object of knowledge, AM or the soul and the supersoul is discussed. Previously, Krishna explained the soul and supersoul as Kshetragya or knowers of the field. By understanding the difference between the body, the soul and the supersoul, and by following the process of knowledge, the soul can transcend dualities, realize its eternal subordination to Krishna and attain the supreme destination.
Prabhuji, you have Prabhuji? This? No, I don't have that. So you can read Prakriti, Purusha and their union, 20 to 26.
Having described Gneya as the self and the supersoul, Krishna now explains the soul and supersoul as Purusha in terms of their connection with material nature. One who understands Prakriti, Purusha and their interactions attains liberation from birth in this world. Other methods of understanding the supersoul are Gyana and Ashtanga Yoga.
27 to 35, Mataji, read.
Gyana Chakshusha, the vision of knowledge. Those who see the distinction between the body, its owner, and the supersoul, and who recognize the process of liberation can attain the supreme good.
Okay. Now, we'll try to read from Shlok number 1 to 7, the first part. Devo Bhagavad Gita, we'll start reading from text number 1 to 7. Start, Mother. Reading. Read the shloka also and the meaning. Arjuna Vacha Prakriti Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragya Etat Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Geyam Cha Keshava. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram Iti Abhidhiyate Etat Yo Veditam Prabhu आगे जो
Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna said, Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, so also, Eva, certainly, Kshetra, the field, Kshetragya, the knower of the field, Eva, certainly, so also, Etar, all this, Veditu, to understand, Ichhami, I wish, Gyana, knowledge, Gneya, the object of knowledge, so also, Keshava, O Krishna, Sri Bhagwan Master, the personality of Godhead said, Ida, this, Sharira, body, Kampeya, O son of Kunti, Kshetra, the field, Iti, dust, Abhidhiyate is called, Etar, this, Yaha, one, Veti, knows, Tam, he, Prapu, is called, Kshetragya, the knower of the field, Iti, dust, that Vidaha, by those who know this. Translation. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge. The Supreme Personality of
So how many questions is asking?
Six.
What are they? Prakriti, Purusha,
Kshetra,
Kshetra,
Kshetragya,
Kshetragya,
Gyana,
Gyana, Gneya. What is the meaning of Gneya means?
the knower.
Object of knowledge.
What is the object of the knowledge? When you have a knowledge, what it leads to, what it should lead to. The object when you have, it should lead to some goal. So what is the goal of the knowledge? That is called as Gneya. Right? Okay? Kshetra in Hindi we call it as area. ये हमारा एरिया, ये हमारा क्षेत्र है. बोलते हैं हिंदी में. ये हमारा क्षेत्र. क्षेत्र means area. And the knower of the area is known as Kshetragya. Gya means the knower. Gya in Hindi is known as the knower. Gyata. So Kshetra plus Gya is Kshetragya. So how many questions is asking? 6 questions. Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Gyana, and object of the Gyana. What is the goal of the Gyana? Huh? Okay. Now read further.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field."
So this body is called as
Field.
area, Kshetra. Then, and there are how many types of body? We have 84 lakh species. How many species? 84 lakh species. Above 84 lakh species come Devta species. देवताओं के जो बड़े बड़े जो देवता हैं, their area and their dimension is different. So this body,
They will not fall under field of that.
no, there are devatas. Certain people fall, but certain they do not fall in 84 lakh.
बट जैसे अगर इस बॉडी को क्षेत्र कहा गया है, उनको उनकी बॉडी को क्षेत्र नहीं कहा गया, बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव
उनकी भी बॉडी है, क्षेत्र है. Everybody in this material body has a body.
बॉडी.
The only thing is that it is made of a different element. Like if you go in the sun planet, the body is built of fire. When you are on the earth planet, the body is built from the mud.
Panchamam.
The mud component is more. If you go in water, the water component in the body is more. Varun Lok. In the highest planet, they have dhrita, means only ghee, cow ghee as their food intake. And that's why there are no toilets. उधर शौचालय नहीं. Where?
In the higher planetary system.
Because whatever they take is consumed in the body. And they take the Grita. And if you remember in Bhagavatam, there is a story of Maharaj Purandar and Puranjan or somebody, Maharaj is there. In the 9th canto, the story comes where Urvashi had come down. Urvashi had come down and she told the king that I will only have Grita, means ghee. So, different level of lokas have different kshetra, different area, different body. Like if you say the ant, the kshetra of his life is very different, what we call as dimension. But if you take fish, the area of domination will be little more. So everybody has, this body is called a Kshetragya and there is an area which he dominates. But when you go to higher planets, the area is more. Dominance area, Kshetra, where the control is more. So the body is considered as Kshetra and Krishna is called as Kshetragya and the soul is also called as Kshetragya. The knower of this body is called as the Kshetragya. So the soul is called as Kshetragya. Lord says that I am the knower of all the bodies. That's why I am also Kshetragya. So there are how many Kshetragya? 2. One is the soul
and one is the Supersoul.
And one is the Supersoul. So there are 2 Kshetragyas and area of that Kshetra is given by the Lord as per his past karma. If you are having this Kshetra, it is because of your past karmas.
इसलिए प्रभु वो उपनिषद में 2 birds sitting on a branch.
Yes.
One is eating the fruit and the other.
One is observing. One is observing. So Lord is observing all our karmas, and according to our karmas, a Kshetra is given.
So one bird is eating and the other is not eating.
He is watching. That is Lord.
Brahma.
Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhukta, Maheshwara. These are the shlokas in this chapter. So very nice question is asked, what is Gyana, what is Gyana, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Prakriti, Purusha. 6 questions, right? So you understand what is Kshetra? Kshetra means the body. And how many bodies are there? 84 lakh species, right? 84 lakh species are there, and according to the karmas, the Kshetra is given. And each Kshetra, the dominance differs. The area of dominance differs. Like there may be some bodies, some people who may be given the dominance for this entire earth, but their dominance may not be in the Swargaloka. Their dominance may not be there in the higher planet. There may be some जीवात्मास जिसका घर में भी नहीं चलता, you know, उसका घर में भी नहीं चलता, तो घर का ही मालिक है. So area of dominance also differs from person to person as per his past karma, influence of that. And there are 2 types of Kshetragya, the knower of this Kshetra, the soul and the Supersoul. Okay?
प्रभु जी एक चैप्टर में देह और देही भी आता है जैसे कॉन्सेप्ट. तो
Deha means body and Dehi means the carrier of the body.
So it's the same thing or there is a difference?
No different. Kshetra is Deha and Dehi is Kshetragya.
And he is
But-
carrier of the body.
Now that is Kshetragya.
बट क्षेत्र में इस बॉडी से जैसे आपने बोला कि द फील्ड ऑफ एक्ट
Action.
जो हमारा कंट्रोल जितने एरिया पे it probably denotes more. Deha only resembles this body.
So Deha means the Kshetra. With that Kshetra, there are field of activity. It will be described in further shlokas. So please read the purport, Mataji.
Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, and knowledge and object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that this body is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field.
Mark that line. The body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. That please also know.
The body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who identifies himself with the body is called Kshetragya, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, and yet he is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehi knows me, that the living entity is within the body, and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. And the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly Kshetragya. Sometimes we think, I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower. But the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetragya, the knower of the field of activities, and the body is called Kshetra, the field of activities itself. In the first six chapters of Bhagwad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagwad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the Supersoul in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances.
The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely described, defined in this chapter. Mark that line.
The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities, as the distressed, those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature, and how it is delivered by the Supreme Lord to the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes created. This is also explained.
Text 3, Mataji, you can read.
Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi.
Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi.
Sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Kshetragya jnanam.
Kshetragya jnanam.
Yatta jnanam matam mama.
Yatta jnanam matam mama. Each and every word.
Kshetragyam, the knower of the field. Cha also, api certainly. Mam me, vidhi, no, sarva all. Kshetreshu, the bodily fields. Bharata, O son of Bharata. Kshetra, the field of activities, the body. Kshetragya, and the knower of the field. Gyana, knowledge of that which, that Gyana, knowledge. Matam, opinion, mama, mind. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. This is my opinion. Purport. While discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul and the supersoul, we shall find three different topics of study: the Lord, the living entity, and
Mark this line, very important.
the
Lord, living entity, and
matter.
matter.
In every field of activities, in every body, there are two souls. The individual soul and the supersoul, because the supersoul is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in every body as the Paramatma or supersoul. One who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field very minutely in terms of this Bhagwad Gita can attain to knowledge. The Lord says, I am the knower of the field of activities in every individual body. The individual may be the knower of his own body, but he is not in knowledge of other bodies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as the Supersoul in all bodies, knows everything about all
Mark
bodies.
this also, the difference between the Jivatma and Paramatma. He knows about himself, or he may know only certain thing about himself, not complete things also. We are knower, but only certain things. We do not know how many cells we have, how many nerves we have, inside what is going on. We do not know everything, but Lord knows everything. So he is the super knower.
But even the passport, we don't know anything. We whisper and again.
No, we do not know anything. We also do not know about other Jivatma, what is going inside him. We only know certain thing about ourselves,
Certain aspects.
certain aspects of ourselves. But Lord is super knower because he knows everything about you, inside and outside, and not only you, but of all the Kshetra. And that's why he is the super knower. Right? Lead further.
He knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but the king knows not only his palace, but all the properties possessed by the individual citizens. Similarly, one may be the
Very nice example. This is called analogy. Very nice example. Mark it as an analogy. Srila Prabhupada gives.
Similarly, one may be the proprietor of the body individually, but the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies.
Yes.
The king is the original proprietor of the kingdom, and the citizen is the secondary proprietor. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the supreme proprietor of all bodies. The body consists of the senses. The Supreme Lord is Rishikesha, which means the controller of the senses. He is the original controller of the senses, just as the king is the original controller of all the activities of the state.
Mark that also, that example of the king and the Lord.
The citizens are secondary controllers. The Lord says, I am also the knower. This means that he is the super knower. The individual soul knows not only his particular body. In the Vedic literature, it is stated as follows: Kshetrani sharirani bijam chapi subhashute taniveti sayogatma tata Kshetragya uchyate. This body is called the Kshetra, and within it dwells represents the owner of the body, and the Supreme Lord who knows both the body and the owner of the body. Therefore, he is called the knower of all fields. The distinction between the field of activities, the knower of activities, and the supreme knower of activities is described as follows. Perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution
Mark
of the
this line. Perfect knowledge of the constitution of body, constitution of individual soul, and constitution of super soul in the Vedic literature is termed as Gyana. This is termed as
Gyana.
तो ज्ञान का मतलब है तीन वस्तुओं का आपके पास नॉलेज होना चाहिए. यू शुड हैव नॉलेज ऑफ थ्री थिंग्स. फर्स्ट इज मैटर. बॉडी इज मेड ऑफ मैटर. ये शरीर किससे बना हुआ है? मैटर से. लेकिन अबाव मैटर देयर इज स्पिरिट, स्पिरिट सोल, एंड अबाव स्पिरिट सोल देयर इज सुपर सोल. So in material world, we always say half knowledge is dangerous. What do you say? So can you tell me what type of knowledge in material world is given? What knowledge is given? About what the knowledge is given?
Body, matter.
Only body.
Only body and matter.
Body, and that is matter only. But there is no college or no department which gives specific knowledge about soul and super. Srila Prabhupada said, what is the most important part of the body? It's the soul. It's the
Soul, yes.
without soul, all parts of body are useless. All parts of your body are useless. But the problem is that material world, the most important part they don't give the knowledge, that is the spirit soul, and what is useless, they give complete knowledge, and they consider that part as to be the whole knowledge. But the Vedas says no. Knowledge means knowledge. You should have knowledge, complete knowledge of the matter. You should have complete knowledge of the soul, and you should have complete knowledge of super soul. Then you are intelligent. Then intelligent. The so-called people who call themselves intelligent, according to Bhagwad Gita, are only having half knowledge or having part knowledge. What? So as per Bhagwad Gita, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Gyanam, Yat Gyanam Taduchyate. Kshetra and Kshetragya Gyanam. And there are two Kshetragya. Soul
And super soul.
People are having the knowledge about Kshetra, area. But they are not having the knowledge who has given you the area. Who is maintaining the area. Who is the controller of the area. That knowledge they are not having. And that's why the problem is there in the society. Half knowledge is always dangerous. Half knowledge, any field, it's always dangerous. And that's why after reading Bhagavad Gita, we consider, and whatever knowledge is given in the schools, colleges, or businesses, it's only related to Kshetra.
Only field of activities.
Only.
Body.
But above Kshetra, there is Kshetragya, that is soul who runs the body, and super soul who controls the Kshetra as well as the soul. So knowing all these three and their functions properly is termed as Gyana, complete knowledge. So do we agree that in modern society the knowledge is half? Huh?
Yes.
Certainly?
Yes.
Yes. And why? Because they do not refer to Prakriti. They do not accept the existence of the soul. They say there is a force, energy, light. But they do not understand that because of the soul, everything is existing in the body. So that's why we should also give our children knowledge, not half knowledge, complete knowledge. The knowledge of the body, material knowledge, as well as spiritual knowledge, that we are spirit soul, and this material and the spirit soul is controlled by the Lord. He is the supreme control. Okay? Read further.
This is the opinion of Krishna. To understand both the soul and the super soul as one yet distinct is knowledge. One who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. One has to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer of nature, and Ishvara, the knower, who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. One should not confuse the three in their different capacities. One should not confuse the painter, the painting, and the acer.
Right. Very nice example.
Yes.
Mark it down. There is a difference between the painter, painting,
and the acer.
and the
Acer.
easel.
Acer is that whole palette on which she puts his colors and the brush. That palette is for acer, from where the painting takes.
So there are matter, there are components, and how it is made up of, we'll study further. Okay? Please read.
This material world, which is the field of activity, is nature, and the enjoyer of nature is the living entity, and above them both is the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. It is stated in the Vedic language in Kshetra, Tara, Panisha, Bhokta, Bhogyam, Taram, Chamatva, Sarvam, Proktam, Trividham, Brahman, Eta. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is Brahman as the field of activities, and the Jiva is also Brahman and is trying to control the material nature, and the controller of both of them is also Brahman, but he is the factual controller.
Very nice. You write, mark this thing. Mark this thing. Prakriti belongs to the Lord. Lord is the creator. But instead of cooperating with the Lord, we are trying to lord
The material nature
and use the material nature
for our advantages.
our advantages. We have to use that Prakriti in the service of God. The problem is that we only see Prakriti in the material world. We do not see the soul. We do not see the law. We do not understand the hierarchy, how the things are there in this system, in the nature. We forget ourselves. We also identify ourselves with the Prakriti. And we think that there is no owner, no controller, and this everything is meant for me. ये पूरा दुनिया किसके लिए है? हमारे एंजॉयमेंट के लिए. And that is called as Gyana. This is called as Gyana. Okay, read further.
In this chapter, it will also be explained that out of the two knowers, one is fallible and the other is infallible. One is superior and the other is subordinate. One who understands the two knowers of the field to be one and the same contradicts the supreme personality of Godhead, who states here very clearly, "I am also the knower of the field of activity." One who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. There are different kinds of bodies and there are different owners of the bodies, because each individual soul has his individual capacity for lording over material nature. There are different bodies, but the Supreme also is present in them as the controller. The word cha is significant, for it indicates the total number of bodies. That is the opinion of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body apart from the individual soul. And Krishna explicitly says here that real knowledge is to know that the Supersoul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite.
Please mark this line. What is real knowledge? What is real knowledge? To understand controller of this material body as well as
the enjoyer, the finite enjoyer, not the infinite.
very nicely here Prabhupada mentions in the Prana. So which are the main important points we took out in this shloka?
Supreme Personality of Godhead is present as Supersoul in all bodies. Knows everything about all bodies. This is the example of analogy. Then just as the king is the original controller of all the activities of the state. Then we have perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, the constitution of the Supersoul is known in terms of the Vedic literature
as knowledge. This is termed as
knowledge.
knowledge. What else?
One should not confuse the painter, the painting and the easel.
Barabar.
Prakriti is a Brahman as the field of activities, and the Jiva, that is the individual soul, is also the Brahman and is trying to control material nature.
Brahman. This is Brahman. It is Brahman.
And the controller of both of them is also Brahman. But he is the factual controller.
He is the actual controller. Lord is the actual controller. He is artificially trying to become a controller. Actually, he should be a cooperator. He should be a, instead of becoming cooperator, he is trying to become a controller. And that's why he is suffering in this material world. What else? Any other last point?
We shall find three different topics of study: Lord, living entity, and the
The last line is, what is actual knowledge?
real knowledge is to know that Supersoul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite.
So these are the main points in this shloka. Okay? So, out of 6 questions, we discussed 2. Kshetra and Kshetragya. Okay, now text number 5, you can read. Read the shloka first.
Kshetram yaccha yadricha.
Kshetram yaccha yadrika.
Yadrikari yataschaya.
Yadrikari yataschaya.
Sachayo yatra prabhavascha.
Sachayo yatra bhavascha.
Tatsmase me shridu.
Satsamasena me shruno.
Tat is that.
Kshetra.
Kshetram field of activities. Yat what? Cha also. Yadrik as it is. Cha also. Yat having what? Vikari changes. Yata from which. Cha also. Yat what? Sa he. Cha also. Ya who. Yat having what? Prabhava influence. Cha also. Tat that. Smasena in summary. May from me. Shrenu is understand. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what is his influence are.
Text 5. Now read text 5. Don't read the first one. Prabhuji, you can read text 5.
ऋषिभिर बहुधा गीतम छंदोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुम् अद्भिर्विनिश्चितैः.
Each and every word.
There is no only word.
Anybody else?
Rishibhi by the wise sages, Bahuda in many ways, Gitam described, Chandobhi by Vedic hymns, Vividhai various, Prithak variously, Brahma Sutra of the Vedanta, Padai, by the aphorisms, Cha also, Eva certainly, Hetu Madhi, with cause and effect, Vinishchitai certain.
Translation, please read the translation and the proper.
Now please, that knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
Read the purport.
Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge. Still, as a
very important part, this line, Evam Parampara Praptam, and always refer to the Shastra and always give the quote of the previous acharyas. Please read the purport.
Still, as a matter of course, learned scholars and standard authorities always give evidence from previous authorities.
They always give the evidence from
Previous
Yes.
They never speak about themselves. Lord being the highest authority, then also He is giving. You see the entire Bhagavatam, the conversation is happening between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev, but in that he is giving the samvad of Maitra Rishi and Vidura. Then he is giving samvad of Lord and other people. You know, many places he is speaking what? Sometimes Naradji is speaking to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Huh? So in the Sabha, he is saying about the Shaunak Rishi and the 88,000 Rishis. So it is a way of presenting. Whenever you give a class, anyway, you should speak as per the parampara and say that it are the quotes of my previous acharya. Never ever speak on your own. This is said over here by our previous acharyas. So we are speaking as it is. If you get stuck somewhere in preaching, you have to say humbly, there are answers for everything in the scriptures. I may not be doing, but in scriptures and our Shiksha Guru and our Guru Maharaj is having, we will refer to them and then be humble. What? Whatever we have learned, we have heard, we are speaking as it is. Bhagwad Gita as it is, Bhagavatam as it is. But if you still are not satisfied, there are answers to everything. You can read on your own the Bhagavad Gita, or you can take Bhagavatam and read it. And even though we can refer to our senior acharyas, that way you are safe. And this is the method. Always quote our seniors. What? They have said. Okay, read further. Krishna is explaining.
Krishna is explaining the most controversial point regarding the duality and non-duality of the soul and the supersoul by referring to a scripture, the Vedanta, which is accepted as authority. First he says this is according to different sages. As far as sages are concerned, besides himself, Vyasdeva, the author of Vedanta Sutra, is a great sage, and in Vedanta Sutra, duality is perfectly explained. And Vyasdeva's father, Parashara, is also a great sage, and he writes in his books of religiosity, Aham Tvam Cha Tathani, we, you and I, and the various other living entities, all are all transcendental, although in material bodies. Now, we are fallen into the ways of the three modes of material nature according to our different karma. As such, some are on higher levels and some are in the lower nature. The higher and the lower natures exist due to the ignorance and are being manifested in an infinite number of living entities. But the supersoul, which is infallible, is uncontaminated by the three qualities.
Here again, the difference between the soul and the supersoul is mentioned in this paragraph. The difference is what? We are forgetful of nature. We are infinite. We are finite, very finite. But Lord is infinite, and He always And that's why, if you remember in the 4th chapter, he tells to Arjuna, what? Bahunani Vetitani Janmani Tavcha Arjuna, that my and your many births have happened. I remember everything. But you do not. That is the difference between the Lord. That's why somebody says that there is Lord and we are equal. No. We are equal in quality, but not in the quantity. Quality wise, we are Sachidanand. Lord is also
Sachidanand.
But quantity wise, in the power or in the Aishwarya or everything, Lord is infinite. And we are finite. Our control is very much limited to our Kshetra. But Lord control is unlimited throughout the world. So here again the difference between the soul and supersoul is mentioned. So you can write the side, the difference between the soul and supersoul is mentioned. Please read.
But the supersoul, which is infallible, is uncontaminated by the 3 qualities of nature and is transcendental.
Lord will never get contaminated by the Maya. Daivi Hasha Gudamai Maya. Mama Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Mekam Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Etu Nanina Pante Jagat Vipri. This Maya is under my control, but the Jivas are under the control of Maya. Right? So please read.
Similarly, in the original Vedas, a distinction between the soul and supersoul and body is made, especially in the Katha Upanishad.
Which Upanishad?
Katha Upanishad.
Katha Upanishad.
There are many great sages who have explained this, and Parashar is considered principal among them. The word Chandobi refers to the various Vedic literatures. The Tattariya Upanishad, for example, which is a branch of Yajurveda, describes the living entity and the supreme personality of Godhead. As stated before, Kshetra is the field of activities, and there are 2 kinds of Kshetragya, the individual living entity and the supreme living entity. As stated in Tattariya Upanishad 2.9, Brahma Pucham Pratishtha, there is a manifestation of Supreme Lord's energy known as Annamaya, dependence upon food for existence.
Very important. This all is very important. Mark this entire thing.
Panchakosh.
That how Panch Brahma.
Panchakosh.
Panchakosh, Brahma. Very important. That the Brahma is manifested in 5 forms. Anna Brahma. Please read.
This is the materialistic realization of the Supreme. Then in Pranamaya, after realizing Supreme...
First is
Annamaya.
Annamaya में ब्रह्म रहता है. Then Prana. Please read.
Then in Pranamaya, after realizing the Supreme absolute truth in food, one can realize the absolute truth in the living symptoms or life forms. In Gyanamaya, realization extends beyond the living symptoms to the point of thinking, feeling and willing. Then there is a Brahma realization called Vigyana, in which the living entity's mind and symptoms are distinguished from the living entity himself. The next and the supreme stage is Anandamaya, realization of the all blissful nature. Thus there are 5 stages of Brahman realization, which are called as Brahma Pucham. Out of these, the first 3, Annamaya, Pranamaya and Gyanamaya, involve the fields of activities and of the living entities. Transcendental to these fields of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is also called Anandamaya. The Vedanta Sutra also describes Supreme by saying, Anandamaya Abhyasa. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature full of joy. To enjoy his transcendental bliss, he expands into Vigyanamaya, Pranamaya, Gyanamaya and Annamaya. In the field of activities, living entity is considered to be the enjoyer, and different from him is the Anandamaya. That means that if the living entity decides to enjoy in dovetailing himself with the Anandamaya, then he becomes perfect. This is the real picture of the Supreme Lord as the supreme knower of the field. the living entity as the subordinate knower and the field and the nature of the field of activities. One has to search for this truth in the Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. It is mentioned that the codes of the Brahma Sutra are very nicely arranged according to cause and effect. Some of the sutras or aphorisms are Naviyat Ashrute 2.3.2, Natma Shrute 2.3.18 and Parat 2 Tat Shrute. The first aphorism indicates the field of activities, the second indicates the living entity, and the third indicates the Supreme Lord, the Samam Bhonam, among all the manifestations of various entities.
Okay, can somebody explain this? What we have important points in this? What are the important points here the Lord is speaking about?
Krishna is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge.
Krishna being the highest authority, he himself is explaining this knowledge with the help of the authorities. So first point is that
what authorities is he taking reference?
Shastra and Guru. Guru and Shastra. So Lord himself is telling that whenever you speak, you should speak from Guru and Shastra. And that's why Lord says in one place, Yo Shastra Visni Utsargya Vartate Kam Karda Na Siddhi Na Sukham Na Paramate. Who leaves the Shastra Visni and Vartate Kam Karda means who lives his life as per his kamnas, as per his desire, and does not follow the Shastra. Then na sukham, na siddhim, na sukham.
Chapter 16.
Yes. Na paramgati. So he will never have siddhi in his life, no happiness, and what to speak about the end goal of the life. Never. So we have to follow the scriptures. We have to follow the Shastra. Okay, what else? Other main point?
We should always quote the learned scholars or the previous authorities.
Yes. Then?
The higher and the lower nature exist due to ignorance and are being manifested in an infinite number of living entities.
Yes. Why this difference is there? Because people are in different gunas. Tamagun, Rajagun and Sattvagun. So, in whichever gun they are, if they are in Tamagun, they will go to lower species. If they are in Sattvagun, they will go to higher species.
Lord is infinite and is beyond.
Yes, the difference between the soul and the Lord is the soul is forgetfulness. He tries to lord over the nature, but he forgets his actual identity.
Soul comes in the fallible category.
There are two types of Sharaksha. In the 15th chapter, if you remember, Lord says there are Dvabhimo Purusho Loke Shara Akshara.
So Shara there he is talking of the
Fallible entities, we are fallible entities.
Shiva.
But there are other entities who are there, where in the spiritual. They are called Akshara. What are they called as? And why they are fallible? Because we have a propensity to lord and forget the Lord. To lord over the nature, we get attracted by this Maya, but the Akshara people do not get attracted by the Maya. When they see this material element, they use this material element for the Lord's service. But when we Shara, when we see, we want to use it. We want to
use it process.
So that is the difference between Shara and Akshara. So Akshara people, when they see this matter, what happens? They use it for the service of Lord. When we see the matter, we want to
Enjoy ourselves.
enjoy ourselves. Because of a forgetful nature. Because of a forgetful nature. Okay?
Prabhuji, वो भी होता है ना, at the end of Brahma's day, the whole material world is annihilated and we enter when Brahma
Into Lord's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
And again we are
created, manifested when the time comes. But this entire place is called as Dukhalaya. This entire world is Anitya Dukhalaya. Dukhalaya. This is Anitya Sukham Lokam. And why we are kept over here? Because of one reason. We want to become Krishna. We want to become enjoyer. We want to be the Lord of the things. We do not want to use the things in the service of Lord. That is the only reason. Everybody in the spiritual world wants to use everything for the service of God. And here in the material world, everything is opposite. Everything what we want is we want to use it for ourselves. And उसमें नहीं मिला तो भगवान को बोलते हैं और लाके दो हमको, आपके पास तो सब है, क्या है? हमारे पास नहीं है, क्या? हाँ, मुझे नहीं दिया, उसको दिया। मुझे प्रॉब्लम खड़ा कर देते आप, और मैं अपील करता हूँ तो मेरा सुनते नहीं आप, you don't listen to me. So that is the problem between the Shara and Aksharas. So there are two types of jiva. Spiritual world they are called Aksharas. And Lord is above Shara and Akshara. That's why it's called Purushottama. What is called? It's called beyond this both living entities. Lord is beyond the both activity. Okay. What else in this sloka? Brahm Pichham. Puchham. Where it is mentioned, Taittiriya Upanishad. Which Upanishad?
Taittiriya.
Right? What is that? Annamay, Pranamay and Gyana. So in our body, five where we can experience Brahma by Anna. So their consciousness is Anna. When their consciousness is the lowest form of realization of Brahma. Lowest form of realization of Brahma. ये खाली खाने में उनका रुचि रहता है और खाने में उनका दिमाग चलता है. Then
Prabhuji, what is the realization in that?
Realization, they see that भगवान खाली अन्न में है. वो है तो हमारा जीवन चल रहा है. खाना मिलेगा तो हमारा खाना, मतलब जो भी करते खाने के लिए करते. उनका जीवन खाला खाने पीने के लिए. किसके लिए?
So like they say that they live to eat.
हाँ, मतलब
they don't eat to live.
It's like an animal life.
Yeah.
In short, it is an animal life.
Animal life.
Where their only focus is on eating, sleeping, mating and fending. Then there is a little higher realization. There is a little higher realization that is called as Pranamay. Pranamay Brahma. Where they realize, because there are certain insects, Prabhuji, who only live for eating. उनके लिए खाना ही सब कुछ है. They do not realize anything more than that. And there are certain living entities जो खाली खाने के लिए जीते हैं. But there are certain people who realize that, who go to the Sattva level. Which level? Then they understand the Pranamay and Gyana. Pranamay and
Gyana.
But when a person is in a pure Sattva level, then he understands the Vigyana and Ananda level.
इसलिए प्राण में से प्राणायाम है कि how we control our breath, how we manipulate it.
So, Annamay is the lowest level. Then Pranamay. So what is Pranamay referred to here?
Living symptoms.
Living symptoms. He tries to see the Lord in all the people. वो क्या बोलता है कि लोगों की सेवा करो. प्रभु, what he says?
सेवा.
लोगों की सेवा करो तो भगवान की सेवा हो जाएगी. आपका दूध.
मानव सेवा is मानव.
So he realized the Brahma in लोगों में. ये भगवान है सब. क्या है? सब भगवान. सबको नहीं सबको इनकी सेवा करो तो भगवान की और थोड़ा ज्ञानमय. Where he sees the Brahma, कुछ खाली खाने नहीं देखते, मतलब जिनका लाइफ खाने के लिए है, उनके हिसाब से खाना पीना मिल गया तो अपना लाइफ वही हमारा है. ये हमारा धंधा है, हमारे को खाना नहीं दिया, हमारा है भगवान. They understand this, you know, who gives us food is Bhagwan, Brahma. या उसमें ही ब्रह्म नहीं. But they fail to understand that there are 5 levels. Annamay, Pranamay. Pranamay level they see in the people. ये इनकी सेवा कर, ये भगवान. And what is Jnanamay?
Thinking, feeling and beginning. They go to the point of thinking, feeling and
Yes.
goes the mind.
They understand that beyond this human beings there is something higher. Then they go to निराकार ज्ञान में. तो भगवान एक क्या है? निराकार. Omniscient, omnipotent, ज्ञानमय. हाँ? But above ज्ञानमय is विज्ञानमय, where they experience. विज्ञान का
Some setting realization.
yes, they understand their constitutional position that they are spirit soul and Lord. In that Vigyana mein, they understand their constitutional position that they are spirit soul and Lord is the super soul and we are part and parcel of the Lord, right? And to serve the Lord, and they serve the Lord. And Anandamai is the actual Krishna form. What? Ananda is the Krishna form.
Realization of all blissful.
Yes. The Lord has his Goloka and going there. I'm in class. So 4 o'clock. Okay. I'll ask Prabhuji what is this and that is. Yeah, first I'll ask him what is his view. I'll check. Okay. Yes. Go. ठीक है? You delete all this sticker.
हाँ. ये
Because they should not go viral. Prabhuji is speaking. The class is going. Huh? Huh? There are certain importance. Okay. So now we understand what is this. Anandamaya means realizing Lord Krishna's personal form.
Prabhuji, what is
Realizing our relation with the Lord Krishna. Huh? Realizing his dham. Realizing and Vigyana means where you actually start serving the Lord. Vigyana means serving the Lord. In Das Dasanudasa. And what is Gyana?
Gyana, we are thinking that Lord is a light and
Something higher is there. He is the controller, he is the everything. He is controlling our prana, he is controlling the everything. Huh? But when you go to a Vigyana level, you realize the personal form of the Lord. You start serving him. And Anandamaya is where you come in a very mature stage of bhakti. You realize, you come to a mature form of bhakti where you realize the holy name, you realize Bhagavatam, you realize the Dham, you experience personal relationship with the Lord. So I am on the stage of Anmay stage. My level is on Anmay stage.
आप लोग ज्ञान में स्टेज पे, हम लोग अन्य स्टेज पे, हम आपके स्टेज पे आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
हाँ, we are जंतु।
आप आपसे ज्ञान लेके हम ज्ञान में स्टेज पे आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
So there are 5 Brahma stage: Annamay, Pranamay, Gyanamay, Vigyanamay. In Vigyana you are actually doing, practicing, and Anandamay is the final stage of realization, where Lord personally reciprocates with you. Lord reciprocates. Okay. What else we have learned in this shloka?
The 5 koshas. Then
The last paragraph speaks what?
of the three aphorisms.
What are they?
Field of activities, the living entity, and the supreme law.
And what are the sutras?
Navya ashrute
Natma Shrute
paratu tat.
So this first aphorism indicates the field of activity, the second indicates the living entity, and the third indicates Supreme Lord. Paratu tat shrute. These are all from Vedanta Sutra. Prabhupada has done so much research, and he has served everything on the plate.
On a platter, flowers.
Huh?
You don't know read it, but you don't absorb it.
Okay. So now the 6th and the 7th verse. Prabhuji, please read. आप read.
Mahabhutena ahankaro
Mahabhutena ahankaro buddhir avyaktam eva cha indriyani dashekam cha pancha echendriyo gochara ichha dvesha sukham dukkham Samgatas Chetanagriti Ekam Kshetra Samasena Savikram Udharitam.
Mahabhutani, the great elements, Ahankar, false ego, Buddhi, intelligence, Avyaktam, the unmanifested, Eva, certainty, Cha, also, Indriyani, the senses, Rasho, Ekam, 11, Cha, also, Pancha, 5, Cha, also, Gneya, Gochara, the object of senses, Ichha is desire, Vesha is hatred, Sukham, happiness, Dukkham, distress, Sangataha, the aggregate, Chetana, waking symptoms, Vigyana, action, Etar, all this, Kshetra, the field of activities, Samsena, in summary, Sa, Vikram, with interactions, Udharakram, exemplified. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and conditions. All these are considered in summary to be a field of activities and its interactions.
Very nice. So now Kshetra. Kshetra is made up of what, and what are the activities that happen in this Kshetra? That is here mentioned, it is mentioned. So read the purport, Mataji.
From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns, and the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Barabar? That is called Panchamaha.
These are the 5 great elements, Panch Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of nature. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge,
and skin. Then 5 working senses, voice, legs, hand, and the self-genitals. Then above the senses there is the mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are 5 objects of senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now, the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of action.
Very important. Mark, all this is very important. Very important. What are these 24 elements? Please, now I will take question from you. What are these 24 elements? Repeat.
5 elements.
How easy to remember is, see, how easy it is to remember. See, 5, 5, 5 we should remember. How?
5.
What are 5
Elements.
working senses,
Working senses.
5 knowledge senses, and 5 sense objects? What are the 5 working senses? Which are the 5 working senses?
Hands, legs,
Hands, legs,
genitals,
genitals, anus, and mouth. What are the knowledge acquiring senses? 5.
eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin.
Skin. What are the 5 sense objects?
Touch, taste, smell, sound, and
Form.
sight.
So 15 ये हो गया. Now, if you see, Lord says, Bhumi Rappa Nulovayu, that shloka is there. 8 elements. 8 elements are there. Right? So how many elements happen? 8 and 15? 23. And the 3 modes of nature. That is 20. Satoguna, Rajoguna. Here it is said, the unmanifested stage of 3 modes of nature. Easy to remember this one. कैसे?
The modes come in under one only.
Yes.
And what about time? Kal.
That is 24, 25, and the Lord is 26. Like this, 26. Atma is also there. 26 elements are mentioned. Somebody said 26, somebody said 24, somebody said 25. If you go in Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, this all questions comes up.
So the soul and super soul are the additional 2.
That's right. And time is also there.
Time. Kal. So 25, 26.
Huh?
So it's a 27 over.
If you say, somebody say 26, they consider 1 actually, sometimes.
So the super soul incorporates everything, including that.
So Atma ko, because their super soul is not, a part of this thing. He is the total controller of everything. Atma को आप डाल सकते एलिमेंट के अगर भगवान को एलिमेंट में नहीं डाल सकते. He is the total controller of all the elements. Huh?
The Lord and Supersoul should not come.
He will not come in the elements.
Right, because they are beyond this elements.
Yes.
Only Kal and soul can come.
Kal and soul. And that's why somebody said 24, somebody said 26 elements. तो ये 26 एलिमेंट से पूरा सृष्टि बना हुआ है, ये हमारा शरीर बना हुआ है. Through this 26 elements, and that inside this 26 element, what else others thing happen? Let's read.
If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions.
Mark करो.
Representations of the 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms represented by consciousness and the convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of false ego, which in turn represent the primal stage of false ego, technically, or the materialistic conception of tamasa buddhi, intelligence of ignorance, in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of the material nature are called pradhana.
Mark.
The unmanifested modes of material nature.
The 3 unmanifested modes. It is the main part before the creation. Before the creation, ये सब elements रहते हैं in the unmanifested form.
Yes.
And then Lord enters, and then he starts the creating.
And then he activates it.
Activates
He
everything.
the Mahabhutas with his glance.
With his glance, or he goes inside each and every element, and then he activates all these elements. Time he activates the three modes, he activates the five senses, he activates everything he activates. That is called Mahatattva. This Mahatattva is activated by Lord when he enters. And he gives all these things to the Jivatma in the form of body.
Completion. Otherwise, it's just dead matter.
Yes, otherwise it's dead.
It's inert. There's no
Inert.
movement. Yes.
And here, as it is said, that there are desires in this Kshetra. What we do in the subtle form, we have desires, we have hatred, we have happiness, we have distress, and
Interactions, representations of the five great elements in the gross body.
yes,
The living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions are the manifestations of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence.
yeah, conviction is there, and
Consciousness is
is manifestation of
the
what?
subtle elements.
Subtle element, Shushma Sharir. बराबर?
Subtle body.
Subtle body. So हम ये शरीर में क्या कर रहे हैं? Hatred, desires, enjoying,
Distress.
distress. This is what is happening in this क्षेत्र. क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग? हमारे इस क्षेत्र में क्या चल रहा है? Desires, fulfillment of desires, or you are happy, or either you are in distress. This is the only function that is going on in this body. So this is how the Lord is describing this entire kshetra. Very nicely. What is going on? This entire kshetra, what is happening? Only desires. And in desires, what happens? Hatred and distress or happiness. Lamentation. These are the areas of the activities which is
This
functioning.
is the activity of the entire area.
This is what is the definition of this body. And that's why we have to go beyond these activities to a higher level, which is called as Anandamaya level. Which means Vigyana and Anandamaya level, which is beyond the act of the body. So very nicely Lord is explaining here.
One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail along with their interactions should study the philosophy in more detail in Bhagwad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is the representation of all the factors and there are changes of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay and the last stage it vanishes. Therefore the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshetragya, the lord of the field, is proprietor, is different.
How many people know in the material world about this activities? Why? Why? Because the focus is only on body. Unknown.
Only on the bodily concepts.
Really, back to Purana time, Prasad to you, not to likes, but when initially in the beginning when we joined ISKCON, so Prasad was very sad actually.
Even now.
Something now at least truly, मतलब genuine दूसरा सब लेगा तो एकदम amazing लगेगा. मुझे तो खाली खाना है मेन.
So that's why Srila Prabhupada started the movement with Prasad. So lectures are incomplete within Prasad. So Bhakti Shastri class starts with Prasad and ends after Prasad.
अब तो अभी 3:30 होगा तो क्या होगा? 3:30 को होगा तो क्या होगा?
3:30.
Then take dinner.
So you can come early and do the studies.
Take the prasad.
And come and you can sit in my Hindi class also if you want. and do the revision. But I will be starting the 7th chapter. Okay, let's finish off.
So the एक question है. So these 24 elements can also be जैसे हम लोग सूक्ष्म स्थूल शरीर, सूक्ष्म शरीर, कारण शरीर होते हैं. अब इसमें इन्होंने सकल बॉडी को बोला माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस और
false.
सो ये सूक्ष्म शरीर हो गया. स्थूल शरीर में 5 5 5 5 वो सारी चीजें आ गई. तो कारण शरीर क्या होगा फिर इसमें से 24 को हमें इसे व्हाट इज द
They see the super soul. What we call it the super soul. There are 3 bodies. You have to understand. One is the gross body. One is the subtle body. And one is the actual being, the soul.
The
is
soul. Yeah, that's
the main part, what we call as the super soul.
causal body.
So that the soul is not an element. It is a spiritual thing. But sometimes beyond this I told you that time is also taken and soul is also taken. So sometimes they count it as 26 elements. Sometimes they do not take the 3 modes of nature. They take the Lord. If you study Bhagavatam, 5th canto, all these things are already taken. But normally, some take 26, some take 27, some take 24, some take 25. It's mentioned. There is different mentioning in different scriptures. But broadly, it is 24 to 26. It comes between 24 to 26. And there are 3 bodies, gross body, subtle body and the soul. And now here, the actions of the body is also mentioned. Like it desires. What is the area? In that area what it does? Desire. And that desire causes happiness and distress.
Distress, lamentation.
This is the area in which he roams. इसका पूरा जीवन इसमें चले जाता है.
This is the activities of the Kshetra.
Kshetra. This is the only thing he does in this Kshetra. The same story in all the units. Huh?
This is all the Kshetras doing.
तो प्रभु यही
Yes.
यही कारण शरीर भी हो गया क्योंकि द लास्ट जैसे हम बोलते हैं लास्ट थॉट दैट वी हैव बिफोर वी डाई डिसाइड आवर नेक्स्ट बॉडी एंड व्हाटएवर वी डू थ्रू आउट आवर लाइफ दैट लीड्स टू आवर लास्ट
Shushma Sharir, the mind, intelligence and ego, whatever you are thinking and whatever Lord says in the 8th chapter, what he says?
Which one? In the
8th chapter, what he says? Yam yam vapi smaranam bhava tyajanti ante kalevaram tam tam ego vyakti paunteya sada tad bhava
Tasmat sarveshu
Kaleshu maham anusmara yuga Sanshaya. So, whatever you are remembering in the Shushma Sharir is carried on. And according to the Shushma Sharir, it's also said in the 15th chapter. It gives an example of a flower and the smell. That the smell passes on.
Yes. You carry it.
The flower is at one place, but the smell passes on to them. Similarly, whatever the smell is the Shushma Sharir and the consciousness, it is carried on to the next body. According to that, you get Shrotram, Chakshusha, Sparshanam cha, Rasanam, Dhanam, Adhisthaya, Manashchaya, Vishayan. So according to that, the consciousness.
Yeah, your consciousness. Whatever you are carrying.
You are carrying. According to that, Shrotram, first you get ears. What do you get? Shrotram, Chakshusha, Sparshanam cha, Rasanam cha, Granam, Evam. Adhisthaya. If you have had an,
Asuri vritti or something.
Asuri vritti, you had a, you can say, sugar को क्या बोलते हैं? Sugar में pig mentality. It's हमेशा तुम्हारा लाइफ में हमेशा कचरा ही विचार किया हो. तो कचरा विचार जब आप लेके जाओगे नेक्स्ट लाइफ में तो अच्छा पिग बनाएंगे भगवान. अच्छे बड़े कान देंगे, गटर का पानी देंगे, आपको एरिया बना के देंगे. Enjoy. If you had in the entire life of envious mentality, then you will be made a nice snake, where you will always करते रहो और अपने एक समाज बनाओ. Huh? And you will, Lord will help you to live with it. Lord will help you.
इनको उड़ने का शौक है, they become birds.
हाँ,
इनको तैरने का शौक है, they become fish.
So if you had that enjoy mentality of sex mentality is there, or hurting mentality is there, खून चूसने की mentality, and you will be made nice animal. उस टाइप का तुमको ऐसा बॉडी देंगे कि रात को आपको लाइट चालू करो तो दिखेगा, नहीं तो नहीं दिखेगा. खटमल. They have given an intent to protect themselves. The खटमल has so powerful that it disguises itself nicely. मालूम नहीं पड़ेगा आपको दिन में, रात को ही निकलते. So that power is given automatically by it. कि भाई तुम खून चूसो, क्योंकि आपका खून चूसा है उसने वैज्ञानिक में, तो आप उसका खून चूसो. So Kshetra, area, and what is the function of that area? Desire, happiness, distress, and lamentation. This is what we do in this 84 lakh species. अगर हम different change करके हम लोग घूम रहे हैं. We are all roaming nicely in all the species. And desiring, hatred, enjoying, and lamenting. And we are creating new karmas. We are creating new bondage. Okay. So I think so we have done nicely this thing. The 7 shlokas.
Yes.
Now we will take 8 to 12. So Kshetra and Kshetragya we have discussed very nicely. What is this body made of? Huh? Body is made up of how many elements? 24. Somebody said 25, somebody said 26 also. Here if you want to add time and the soul, it becomes 26. Right? Otherwise 24 elements. And which are 5, 8 and
Soul.
no.
And 3 modes.
3 modes of nature. These are 24 elements.
And then
Right?
Kal.
And Kal and soul. 26 elements. And what are the functions? Desire, hatred. What are the functions in this?
Desire, hatred, happiness, distress, lamentation.
This is the only actions he is doing in the Kshetra.
Yes. So this is the activities of the Kshetra.
Activities of
Life
the
after life.
life after. You and I are doing the same thing in all lives. Huh? Right?
Life after life. That's what we
We are never in Goloka, Mataji. We have not come from Goloka.
We were in this Pradhan Brahma.
See, one thing you should understand. Now also we are with the Lord, inside the Lord. Are not we inside the Lord? Lord showed to Yashoda Mata the entire Brahman inside him. He showed na?
Yes.
Arjuna also he showed the Virat Rupa. Inside he showed everybody. So are not we inside the Lord now also? So why are we not in Vaikuntha and we are here? We are with the Lord. But the only thing that is keeping us separate is our consciousness. हमारे विचार अभी उल्टे चल रहे हैं. हमारी भोग वृत्ति क्या है? भोग वृत्ति होने के कारण we are stuck over here. किधर? The day ये भोग वृत्ति सेवा वृत्ति में बदल जाए, किसमें? Then we will go back to the normal place. There are 2 types of jiva, Shar and Akshar. We are Akshar jiva. What are we? We are not Shar. We are Shar jiva. Akshar jivatmas are there in the spiritual world. We were never there. We were here.
from millions of years. We are here.
Because option is given to Jivatma to serve the Lord or not serve the Lord. We choose the option not to serve, but to enjoy serving. That's why we enter. And we are called as marginal entities, Tatashta Shakti. Some, and the example that Srila Prabhupada gives, that some ocean part is always inside, shore, and some part is always outside. How much the water comes, that part never goes inside the ocean. Shore. Certain shore is always inside, and certain shore is always outside. So we are all marginal entities. What are we?
Marginal entities.
And the question is not that we are not with the Lord. We are with the Lord. But we are not fit for it. Why?
We want to enjoy.
We want to enjoy. We do not want to serve. The day we change that mentality, costless service. What? Without any motivation, then you are fit to go there. Where? Golo. But if you have little 1% of also desire, to desire to enjoy this material world, then you are stuck. Yeah?
Seva bhi, you have to do, and Nishkam.
Nishkam.
Yeah, seva.
Anya Vilasita Shunya, Gyana Karma, Gyana, Anukulyena Krishna Nushidra, Bhakti Rupa. So we are with the Lord, and the moment we come to that mentality, we will experience Lord everywhere. The place will become Vaikuntha. This place will become Vaikuntha. Prabhupada used to say, when I was in the Bauri, where all druggists were there, but when I used to be, drenched in Bhagavatam, absorbed in Bhagavatam, this place used to become Vaikuntha.
I carry Vrindavan in the heart.
You understand?
Yes.
So you can create Vrindavan, your house. Even though you in Kali Yuga, you can make Satyuga. But what
Lord
matters?
also says, wherever my devotees are there,
Kirtan is going, because what happens in the spiritual world, Katha, Ganam, Natyam, Gandhavya, Manshi, Priyas, only Kirtan, dancing, Seva. There is nothing, and they do not want anything in
return.
return.
Selfless.
So when with that mentality, you are always in Vaikuntha. But the moment you want something for yourself, then you have to be in the material world. Huh? You understood? Share and Akshar. So we are fallible. And God knows better कि हम अक्षर है कि शर है. अगर हम अक्षर रहते तो हमको कुछ अट्रैक्ट नहीं करता था. When Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj came, what happened? He was not attracted to anything. He ran away. He told that it's better to live inside the womb instead of coming out. He stayed. The Lord had to come and told that please come out. My Maya will not affect you. And he came out. He took the equal stand on him and ran away. So nothing got, nothing could attract him. Nothing could. But for us, I think so everything we get attracted. And that's why we are considered as fallen. What are we?
Fallen.
We fall to anything. But they are infallible people. What are they? Maya doesn't. And that's why Lord says, Devi Esha Gurmai Mam Maya Dvarakaya. Mama Eva Ye Prabhadyante Maya Metam. Those who have surrendered to me, they can only
Certainly
Eva, they can cross.
They can cross this ocean
Of Maya. So nicely we have understood the Kshetra, Kshetragya, the composite of this body, how this body works, huh?
How it functions.
What is complete knowledge, what is half knowledge. Now what are the action of knowledge? how a person who is in knowledge works. Gyana, see, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Yad Gyanam. What we discussed, that to have the knowledge of the matter, soul and supersoul, when you have the knowledge of all these three completely, in complete you are termed as knowledge. But who is in knowledge? How he works, how he behaves, what are his actions are defined in shlok number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's read that. Yeah.
Amanitvam adambitvam
Amanitvam adambhitvam
ahimsa shanti arjavam
ahimsa shanti arjavam
acharya upasanam saucham
acharya upasanam saucham
stairyam atma vinigraha
stairyam atma vinigraha
indriyateshu vairagyam
indriya artheshu vairagyam अनहंकार एवच जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुख दोष अनुदर्शनम आसक्ति अनाभिष्वंग पुत्र धारा गृहादिषु नित्यं च समाचित्त्वम् निष्ठा निष्ठु प्रपद्यसेषु मये चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
अध्यात्मज्ञान नित्यात्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतो अन्यथा
Very, very important student. First, Lord gives the description of the Gyana, Kshetra, Kshetragyam, iti Gyana. Who knows the Kshetra and Kshetragya is considered to be knowledge. But who is in knowledge? How he acts? What is the action he does? Is mentioned in this. So take out page number 68. And on page number 68, write the Sanskrit word in front of all the English meanings which are given. Correlate each Sanskrit word with the English meanings which are given. And give the number also. 1 number, 2 number, 3 number. First is humility. The humility is amanitva. So with humility you write amanitva. You can write there only, or in the in the book also you can write, or you can write separately. Humility is amanitva. Then adhambitva, that is pridelessness. Second, and what is the meaning of humility?
Not to be anxious to our
Satisfaction of being honored. Then adhambitvam, dambhanikam. What is the meaning of dam? Pride, command, dam nahi karna. Then ahimsa. What is the meaning of ahimsa? And what is the meaning given on the page number 68?
Not put others in distress unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge. One is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge.
Means what? What is the meaning of non-violence?
Not to hurt.
Normally, we say that non-violence means to hurt others. But no, here the meaning is given something different.
To elevate someone with the help of spiritual knowledge.
If you are not He said not put others in distress. Unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. This is the meaning of violence. क्या? So everybody is doing violence. हम क्या समझते हैं कि किसको मारना नहीं, हर्ट नहीं करना. But what is the meaning given over here? If you are not elevating that soul, then you are creating violence. Please mark this. A different meaning of violence. If unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try the best to distribute the real knowledge. वो माँ नहीं है, वो पिता नहीं है. It is said in the Bhagavatam. He is not a mother, he is not a father, he is not a brother, he is not a husband. If he is not helping the dependent to connect with the Lord. तो कनेक्ट करने में वायलेंस हो जाता है. इसके लिए पहले अपने आप को प्रैक्टिस करना. We have to practice for ourselves. So violence here is distributed, is understood that if you are not elevating, not elevating people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. Okay? Then amanitam ahimsa. Hinsa. Why this hinsa means what? Violence means कि भाई hurt करना. So actually, if the soul is not liberated, soul is caged from its actual action. अगर मैं आपको बांध के रखूं, that is also violence. That is also violence or not? If I bind you, that is one form of violence. So when the soul is caged and it is not released from, or he is not revealed his actual position, it's a violence on the soul. The more we indulge in tamogun and rajogun, what? It's type. See, this is a higher level of understanding violence. Huh? What? On the level of soul, you understand. Normal way of violence is what? Vani se, sharir se, you do not do any type of violence. Do not, by hurt, also there is violence. You know, there are certain words by which you can hurt others. There are many ways by, it is said that words hurt more than weapons.
Because it lasts long.
Huh?
Because it lasts long.
Yes. It pinches more. It gives pain more. So, those who are in knowledge, they will never practice violence. They will tolerate it, but never practice. Because they are in complete knowledge that whatever problem is coming in my life, the first is my cause, and it is happening with the will of Krishna. Without the will of Krishna, nobody can give me pain. So seeing Krishna behind that violence, he tolerates. He tolerates. Right? That's why seeing Krishna, the tolerance comes. Like we know Haridas Thakur, we know Jesus. They were able to tolerate the violence. Pandavas were able to tolerate the violence. Bhishma was able to tolerate because they were seeing the Lord's hand behind all things that is going on. in their life. So much trouble Duryodhan gave to Pandavas, and when they were in the forest, Duryodhan got stuck with Gandharvas. At that time also there was a chance Hisab Kitab barabar karne. Why आज Bhima was in that mood only, finishing them off. But Yudhishthira Maharaj told no, we cannot become like that. It's our duty to go and protect. And he sent Arjuna. And he went, and on the request of Arjuna, the Gandharvas left. Who? So this is called Ahimsa. Yes, yes. So, violence. Then what is that? Then what is that? Shanti. Shanti means tolerance. Then Arjavam. Arjavam, you write Arjavam means simplicity. Tolerance means practice to bear the insult and dishonor from others. So how that will come in our life? Tolerance.
Somebody saying something which is very wrong or disrespectful, you have to keep quiet.
Then how that tolerance will come?
Krishna's hand in it.
Yes.
Again, you realize that
The
God is
moment you
powerful.
see Krishna's hand in that, then you will be able to tolerate. Without tolerate, nahi karna. Like if you see Bali Maharaj was, उनकी पूरी इज्जत उतार दी थी भगवान ने उनकी सभा में, you know, he was disrespected in the entire सभा. अपने समाज में अपने देखो, if I want to shout in front of you, but in front of your family, in front of your samaj, if I shout, it's very difficult to tolerate. It's very difficult to tolerate. अकेले में आप कुछ भी बोल तो चल जाएगा. But Lord, you know, stripped him, and he told that you are saying false. झूठ बोलते हो. 3 पद को देने को बोले थे और 2 पैर ही दिए आपने. And I'll punish you. He was bounded. In front of the entire community. But then also he never went back. Tolerated. Bali Maharaj. Today is Vaman Dwadashi. So we should understand how tolerant he was, even in that situation, where it was not his fault at all. Was it his fault? Who?
Bali Maharaj.
It was not. But then also he tolerated. What about Amrish Maharaj? Was it his fault? He got the curse from Durvasa. Was it his fault? But then also he tolerated.
It's not easy.
Not easy. Huh?
Not easy to practice and great quality.
So these are all symptoms of knowledge. Pure. Right?
Symptoms of pure
Hmm?
knowledge over everything.
Okay. Go further. Simplicity Arjava. Then Acharya Upasanam Saucham. That is accepting. Arjava means so straightforward that you can disclose the real truth even to your enemy. Simplicity. Simplicity means you do not have duplicity. अंदर कुछ और बाहर कुछ और. That should not be there. It should be, because Lord doesn't like duplicity. Duplicity. Diplomacy is different, but duplicate. अंदर कुछ भाव और
अंदर से कुछ और
बाहर से कुछ और. motion, accepting a spiritual master. This is essential. Then Saucha, that is cleanliness. Please write. Then Sthairiam means what? Steadiness. Cleanliness comes of two types: internal cleanliness and external cleanliness. What is internal cleanliness and external cleanliness? Internal cleanliness can happen only by chanting of Vigyana. And external cleanliness is at least you should take twice bath. At least minimum. Thrice you do, not a problem. But twice is minimum. Wherever you go in some wrong place or wrong thing, if you touch something, you should wash your hands. Shuddhi karna. When you go in some outside place, you come enter in your house, you should wash your hand, face, and then sit. Don't try to, eat something. That is, cleanliness matters more.
But there is a community in Manipur, there is a Meiki, the original. They follow this principle. They minimum, even for doing urinal also, they give bath after coming or getting into their bath.
So there are communities. No? Okay. So then Atma Vinigraha, Sthairiam Atma Vinigraha, that is self-control.
Atma Vinigraha.
Atma Vinigraha means controlling the self. Nigraha करते हैं, क्या करते हैं लोग? Nigraha. They reject what is needed. They will keep for themselves, and what is not needed, they will reject. Indriya Artheshu Vairagya. What is the meaning of Indriya Artheshu Vairagya? Renunciation of sense object. Not cater to unnecessary demands, gratify only to keep the body fit for devotional service. Means accepting what is favorable, rejecting what is not favorable. Indriya Artheshu Vairagya. Ahankar, absence of false ego. Evacham. फिर जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुख दोषा अनुगर्षण means perception of evil of birth, death, disease and old age. We should always be mindful of all these things. Then Anasakta Abhishwanga means what?
No entanglement with wife.
Detachment. Huh?
Wife, home, work, children.
Putradar Grihadishu. He has no attachment.
Wife, family, home.
That is also a symptom
Yes.
of knowledge. Because they ultimate are cause of bondage
Yes.
and pain and suffering. What?
Yes.
But that is only possible when your bondage and attachment is towards strong with Krishna. Unless and until you do not have strong attachment with Krishna,
Then we cannot be peace.
you cannot have detachment from all these things. Huh?
They are always entangled.
Yes.
First,
Only way is that strong attachment to Krishna. Then this detachment is possible. Otherwise, plus the knowledgeful person understands that some हिसाब किताब हो रहा है हमारा. क्या हो रहा है? हस्बैंड के साथ, पुत्र के साथ, माता पिता के साथ, गए जन्म का सब लेना देना चल रहा है. Prarabdha is going on, and unless and until that is not finished, we are not going to get out of that. Huh? That's why duty है उसको करना है. But beyond duty, if you go, it will lead to cause of problem. right? We have to focus on higher duty. Our higher duty is to love Krishna. Our higher duty is to serve Krishna. And that's why he understands that there is a karma reaction for everything what I am doing. For anything what I am doing is a karma reaction.
Prabhuji, is it possible to not give duty? Because जैसे chapter 2 में अर्जुना को कृष्णा says ना कि even if you don't want to fight, your nature will make you fight.
Yeah. So being Kshatriya, Rajogun, that Kshatriya nature, since the war is going on and people will start blaspheming Arjuna, कि तुम तो कायर हो, तुम ये है. So when that people start blaspheming, that Rakta of Kshatriya will not allow you to listen. You will start working anyhow. There are certain inbuilt things that will happen. Huh? Now it's 4 o'clock. My meeting is going, so we'll wind up the session. But this is very, very important. How we can develop this knowledge in our life. What? How we can develop.
These are symptoms of pure knowledge.
Pure knowledge. And anything opposite to this, that also we'll study. What is the opposite of humility?
Pride.
No. Arrogance. Then what is pridelessness? Is pride. Then non-violence, always violent. Tolerance, intolerant. Simplicity, दिखावा ज़्यादा. Show off ज़्यादा. Then accepting a spiritual master, he himself is a spiritual master. हाँ? मेरे से ज्ञान लो. मेरे से बढ़कर कौन? हाँ? Then cleanliness, totally unclean inside and outside. उठने में, खाने में, सोने में कोई नियम नहीं. So this will continue next time. Okay? Very nicely. So today we discussed the 13th chapter. Knowledge. We discussed about Kshetra. We discussed about Kshetragya. We discussed about Pancha, Ichham, Brahma. How this body is made up of.
What are the elements?
Constitution the made of, and what are the activities of this body, the Kshetra. In all the species, what are we doing? Desiring, enjoying, enviousness, lamenting, and distress. This is the actions which are we doing in all this activities.
This is the field of action.
Field of action.
What a knowledgeable person has to do.
What is the action of a knowledgeable person? And what are the actions of unknowledgeable person? I am totally in Agyana. I myself am totally in Agyana. Huh? तो फैक्ट है ना ये.